Hi, didn't see you there. Welcome to my deck profile. So, how's your 2020 been? I've ascended to Super Saiyan since the last time I saw you. So, in no particular order, these are my top 5 albums of the year. We have Dark Tranquillity Moments. Just a very well-rounded album. They have gotten a little soft in their old age, but I appreciated every song on that album. And if I had to pick a favorite track, it is the single that is called Phantom Days. Great track. So next, what is the next one? Oh, it's in no order anyway. Next we have What the Dead Men Say by Trivium. My favorite track of What the Dead Men Say was What the Dead Men Say. Sorry, what?
You need to explain that you liked the album because of any reasons.
No, I'm not going to bother. Next we have Mors Principium Est with 7. And I think the word 7 means an old wooden ship. Or it might just be because it's their 7th album. Best song on the album, in my opinion, In Frozen Fields. Great track, especially because of the intro riff and like the first minute or so. Beautiful. Andy Gillian, what more can I say? I don't know if you can tell, but I'm glistening at the moment because it's hot as fuck in here. I'm just gonna pour myself a drink. Jesus. Just a little H2O. About that much will get you there. Alright, so next album. I've got, what have I got here? Oh, I hate myself for this one. So, cameraman will like this. Bring Me the Horizon with post-human survival horror.
I want it to be fast and punky.
Favorite track off it is One by One. Pretty much, Bring Me is doing the thing that all the metalcore kids are doing in 2020, which is ripping off Linkin Park for some reason and just introducing a lot of electronic elements. But if you can do it well, you have my attention. So, credit where it's due. 5, I had Suicide Silence, which is another band I don't typically listen to too much, with the album Become the Hunter. It's just, you play 3 of them in the deck, it's just solid, consistent. When you draw him, no, I have to stop making you your references. Let's go back. That's too silly.
Hey, didn't see you there. Join me for a bite. I've been talking about my top 5 albums of the year. And despite it being a pretty horrible year in general, some damn good releases, and in no particular order, as to not incriminate myself, my top 5 this year are Trivium, What the Dead Men Say, which, in typical Trivium fashion, they just keep outdoing themselves, and coming from Sin in a Sentence, which I absolutely loved. This album just made sense. It's all the ingredients that made Sin in the Sentence awesome, and then they just sort of went that one step further, and that's enough for me. Absolutely love it. So that's one of them. Album number 2, In Malice's Wake, The Blindness of Faith. Just the whole blackened thrash vibe, the absolute hate on that album is palpable, and I feel like it's a pretty good soundtrack for 2020. I can't say enough good things about the band. Awesome dudes, incredible music, and yeah, just one of the best albums to come out this year, so check that one out. Album number 3, Black Dahlia Murder, Verminous. I've run out of things to say with Black Dahlia Murder. The band is just consistent to a T. This album has this weird heartworky, Carcass heartwork kind of vibe to it. It's got almost this old school feel, and I just love it. Top to bottom, left to right, it's ferocious, it's absolutely relentless, and it's Black Dahlia Murder distilled down to the pure essence of what that band is, and yeah, it's a fantastic album. And the artwork is incredible as well. That was a huge standout this year as far as artwork was concerned as well. Next album is Feta. I wish Feta was an album. Actually, It is Earth Rock, Black Tides of Obscurity. Local boys, absolutely love them. If you love the old Boss HM2 pedal, you will love this album, because that is the only way to describe this album is HM2 and angry. That's it. It's just a phenomenally good Mors Principium Est 7. Weird that 7 is number 5, but you know how to make the rules. Awesome album. I think it's their best album of sort of the current lineup, with Andy Gillian on board as guitarist. I would say it's easily the best of that era of albums. There's almost like it's everything you expect from Mors Principium Est, all the upbeat riffs, all the sort of aggression, and that mellow death sound that I don't think enough bands do anymore, that real upbeat sort of in your face sound. And then it's just got all these cool, like, I don't want to say Disney, but like these Fantasia-y epic orchestrations, which are like pretty much it's just Andy's thing. I'm guessing by now that's sort of his style, and it just sounds incredible. Like, this album is just the amalgamation of, I think, everything that makes that band awesome. And yeah, it's fantastic. So they're my top 5 for the year. The one there's a fair few that didn't make it, to be fair, some great albums that I sort of remembered later on. So 2 honorable mentions is the new Dark Tranquillity and the new Unleash the Archers. Both those albums are awesome. I just didn't get to them to spend enough time with them to, I guess, really consider them in the top 5. But for me, Moment, Dark Tranquillity, just feels like a return. Pretty much my favorite band for the longest of time. And Unleash the Archers Abyss, which is incredible and just sonically, musically really, really good. The only thing that has stopped that album from basically going from an honorable mention to number 1 on my list is I still feel like I'm waiting for that band to put out that album that just has all the truly memorable moments that like an unforgettable album has, and they're always so consistently awesome. But once they get to that point, they're basically just going to jump up to one of my favorite bands ever. And that's the only reason they didn't make the top 5. So check all 7 of those albums out. They're all great. Cheers.
I didn't see you there. I'm just writing the top 5 albums for 2020. Do you want to have a look? Page is blank. But these aren't. Ensiferum Thalassic. What can I say about you? It's Viking metal, but they talk about the sea this time. It's great. Run the Jewels, or RTJ, have come out with a 4th album, and it's an absolute masterpiece. But the best part about it, it's pink. Oh, Polaris, the death of me. Really, really cool album, really, really intricate, and just full of like radio-esque bangers. It's just solid. It's just so good. "4 Years Strong, Brain Pain." Now, this album has probably my favorite artwork throughout the whole year. And look at that, isn't that just a masterpiece? Absolutely brilliant. Who thought a death metal bassist would like pop punk? Caligula's Horse, Rise Radiant. This album is an absolute prog masterpiece. It's heavy when it's heavy, it's soft when it's soft, and there are just no boring bits.
Yes, there's your proof!
Caligula's Horse.
No boring bits.
10 out of 10.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. 2020 was a strange and complex year for music and for the world. But through the darkness, great moments of artistic merit and shining beacons of human achievement were created this year, of which we shall now discuss in Kezik's illustrious metal album of 2020 list. The best list you will find in this band, the only list with a sense of pedigree, a sense of decency. Starting off the year, the Deutschland metalcore giants, the illustrious Heaven Shall Burn, released a double album of Truth and Sacrifice, a momentous album. The Yanks, despite their many issues this year, the Brave and Powerful Boys and Introvert released Fluid Existential Inversions, the finest piece of prog I had the pleasure to listen to this year. The Great Swedes, the Brave Northern Warriors, released Moment. Outstanding. Outstanding. The experimental progressive act, The Ocean, released
Phanerozoic 2, Mesozoic, Cenozoic.
Truly an amazing piece of prog metal. Truly amazing. And that quaint eccentric Frenchman, Igor, released Spirituality and Distortion. What a trip. What a trip. I'm done with this. This year fucking sucked. Wow. All these albums were really good, but realistically, I just listened to angsty bangers all year because, wow, this year was awful and I had no time. You know what, actually, this isn't the vibe. Hang on, give me a sec. Okay. This looks and feels more fitting for the shitstorm that was 2020. Wow. Okay, now that we're back, I guess we can have the true angsty guilty pleasure list. The Kezik's top 5 angsty bangers that I didn't stop listening to all year list. Why am I doing this? Starting with Enter Shikari's Nothing Is True and Everything Is Impossible. Absolute bangers, fun electro beats, interesting instrumentation, still got some metalcore vibes going on, had some pretty interesting indie rock breakdowns, I guess. Great album, loved it. Amaranthi's Manifest. It's cheesy pop metal. It's great. I loved it. It's so tongue-in-cheek. It's so bad. I feel dirty listening to it and I can't stop listening to it. Poppy, I disagree. I don't know why I liked this album so much. It's weird, it's overly experimental. It kind of feels like they're just taking the piss on half the songs. And yet it almost gives me a Mr. Bungle vibe in times. And the cheesy bubblegum pop parts are way too fun. The choruses are catchy. It's silly and it's kind of heavy in points. And I actually really liked the whole album. I listened to it a lot. Why did I listen to it that much? I don't know. King 810's AK Concerto number 47, 11th movement in G major. What a title. Honestly, this thing was disgusting. It is grossly heavy, very dark, quite experimental in points, and really fun. And this thing hits really hard, and I really like this album. This was good. This was really good. And lastly, everything else in these two lists hasn't been ordered, but this one is ordered. This was my album of 2020. Bring Me the Horizon's Post-Human Survival Horror. I think it's Bring Me the Horizon's best album ever made.
Fast and punk, yeah.
I think it's better than Sempiternal. I think it's better than Suicide Season. I think they have perfectly managed to home in on all the pop elements they had on Ammo, all the old metalcore stuff, and blend it perfectly. I genuinely think this short album is possibly the best example on how to be incredibly heavy, very fast, and have catchy pop choruses. Also, it kind of just sounds like a Linkin Park album, and I really miss Linkin Park. God, what an album. Yeah, 2020 sucked, but that album was great. Is this outfit a lot? I feel like it's a lot. Why do they let me make these videos?
2020 best albums. No. So obviously 2020 has been hard for everybody and everyone's been stuck at home. So listening to music seems to be something that we've all done a lot of. That has made picking a top anything really hard because for some reason this year it seems like every 2 weeks there's a new album that I'm like, this is fucking sick. So I'm going to try and narrow it down, and then maybe at the end have like a look at these other albums. They were also awesome, but I didn't want to talk about 15 albums. So first up was a recent album, Dark Tranquillity's Moment. I can't really say anything bad about Dark Tranquillity. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. Next album, and again, this is no like order, like it's not like first is the best and then the last one is the worst of the best. It's just albums I've really dug. So this was a new one for me. It was Emma Ruth Rundell and Thou, and the album is May Our Chambers Be Full. It's just a really dark, brooding, moody album. It just vibes really well. It just seemed like the right album for the year. I don't think they knew what was going to happen, but it just had this really cool mood about it. It was kind of somber and kind of trippy at times as well. But yeah, just worth a listen if you like anything that's a bit more brooding and dark. The next album is a surprising one for me. It was Sepultura with Quadra. Now, I've been a big Sepultura fan for a very long time, thus the Sepultura S on the arm. But sort of post-Max, like a lot of people, I kind of didn't vibe a lot of the stuff they were doing. You know, no disrespect to them or to Derek or anything like that. He's now been in the band longer than Max was, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the first Sepultura album since Max that I've really dug and really enjoyed. It's just really fast, really brutal. And because it was released at the start of the year, I kind of forgot about it for a little while. And then I was sitting there trying to get this list together. I'm like, uh-oh, I forgot about Sepultura.
Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces. They certainly haven't forgotten about her.
So yeah, definitely worth a listen. Just a killer album across the board. Worth a listen if you like old Sepultura, and worth a listen if you like new Sepultura. The next album is The Boys in Earthrot with Black Tides of Obscurity. Can't really say anything wrong about Earthrot. The guys are legends. The music is fucking hard and it's brutal, and they just, yeah, they kill it. If you need HM2s in your life, which we all do, you definitely want to check out this album. It's just really cool. The guys have been doing this for a long time and it shows. This is a really mature album and just a really strong release from them. And I can't imagine, you know, how much better the next one will be just because of the trajectory they're on. Love your work, guys. And yeah, it's such a great album. If you haven't heard it yet, go do yourself a favor and listen to it because it's brutal as shit. The next one's a bit of a different one. So it's After Hours by The Weeknd. Now, I got into The Weeknd with Starboy, and that was a really cool album. And again, it was a bit different for me, but it was kind of in a time that I was experimenting with the things I was listening to a bit more and just opening my mind up to a few other things. And this album is awesome. It's got moments of dark, bleak things. It's got really poppy stuff. It's got the hip-hop stuff that, you know, The Weeknd's known for, but it's just got a lot of really cool elements that I really enjoyed. But it's always got that underlying darkness about the mood and the tone, and I think The Weeknd has always captured that really well. So definitely worth a listen. The next one is another homegrown band. It's Growth with The Smothering Arms of Mercy. Now that album just came out a week and a half ago, if I'm correct. Yes! And it is heavy, and I'm not just talking about it musically being heavy, but emotionally it's a heavy album, and you can tell that a lot of this stuff was written from a very dark place, and yeah, it's just really brutal to listen to. It never really stops. It's unrelenting, but it still has a lot of moments of softer and more melodic passages, and yeah, it's just worth a listen. The next one is another album that was released quite recently. It's Killer Be Killed's Reluctant Hero. I really love Killer Be Killed. I think anything that Max Cavalera does is awesome, so sorry, there is bias, but it's just, this is exactly what you want from a band with so many talented musicians in it. And aside from the riffs just being groovy and awesome, you've got really great vocals, great catchy choruses, and just everything about it works for me. The first Killer Be Killed album is one of my favorite albums of all time. just because of how good it was as a initial release. And yeah, being a supergroup, you kind of expect that. But yeah, just following it up with another great release is really, really good. And I look forward to seeing them again live in, whenever that may happen with travel. The last album on my top tier list is Pallbearer with Forgotten Days. I love Pallbearer. They're dark, they're moody, they've got that doominess, but there's still optimism in the music. And I don't know why that's there, but it is there. So it's not as somber as some of the other stuff that I listen to, but it's still got that doominess to it. But there's a level of optimism in there. And I think with the way this year's been, having a silver lining of optimism is important. So I think they really captured that. And again, it's just a great album to listen to. You can listen to it actively, really pay attention to what's going on and enjoy it. But it's another album that you can just pop on and have it in the background and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's on. Oh yeah, I love this song. So again, great album overall, and just a band that has been doing it for a long time now and just do a great job with every release. Now, those were my top, I think 8, possibly. Yes. So I'm going to have Owen put a few albums up here now that I also think were fantastic, but for whatever reason just didn't make it into my top 8. And because I didn't want to go on forever. I mean, I could talk about the best albums of the year for probably 40 minutes on my own, just because there were so many good releases this year. I'm not going to do that because there's, other members in the band who have opinions, and I'm hoping that they talk about some of the albums that are here now in my face, and if they don't, then they're objectively wrong, because these are also awesome albums. Just pausing for effect so you can put albums on the screen. And that's my list for 2020, and I look forward to hopefully a shorter list in 2021. Not because I don't want more releases, but just so I don't have to work so hard to come up with a small list. Oh, hi! Didn't see you there.